Anything stupid or anything that's like not really gonna work.
Stupidity.
Oh, I'm down with stupidity. It's just all the other filler stuff we definitely need to watch out. Well, not watch out for, but all right, so we're synced up. This is the Wolfcat Podcast, the first one on video, so you get to be my first video person. Yeah, so this is going to be an evolving process. It's not going to just always be audio or always video. I'm just going to try to work it out between then and here and there. But I am Mark Shelton, as always, bringing you the news, whatever news that may be. I'm joined by Colleen McNichol. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hey guys, I'm Colleen. I go to Radford with Mark. We were coworkers over this summer, working as Quest assistants, and now we're BFFs. And I'm here doing his podcast.
It's pretty tight, yeah. We're Quest was cool. Quest had a lot of cool people in it, and you're my 5th Questee that I've had on, which is great because I actually feel like I get a lot of good information from Quest people. I feel like I get a lot of good stuff that I don't think about. I think the last one was the Dre and Aubrey one, which was pretty fun, talking to them. And
I wondered what you would talk about with those like literal clowns.
Dang, don't watch this if you don't want to be called a literal clown, boys.
Literal clown.
But no, it was a good time. Tanner was super nervous because we were talking about one of the Quest people without trying not to use their name, but we did. And
happens.
Yeah, and so like I'm still learning that whole process of like what to do with naming names, because this is the internet and the internet's super powerful these days. But
it is.
Outside of that, so we went to Quest. We had Quest together. Now we've started up the new school year. Fall's already passed. We're working into spring. What has been your major influence or motivation going into this school year and into this spring semester?
What a question. I hate to keep talking about Quest, but I really did. I had a good time. I had a really good time doing Quest.
Yeah.
So I feel like something that has really made this year super awesome for me is having all of those friendships, because they're people from all over the place that I never would have met otherwise. And if I did know them, I didn't talk to them because we weren't in the same, little clique or niche or whatever. And then once you're forced to work together for like 3 nonstop months, spending every moment together, you really get to know them and why they are the way that they are, etc. And I think my motivation going into this semester is just like having all of those people around me that I really like, because it's my last semester of undergrad, so I really want it to be a good one. And I'm glad that I chose to do Quest last summer so that I could have like the maximum amount of people during my senior year to like pal around with.
Right. So this is your senior year.
Yes. Yeah.
Seniors up top. Boop. We're about to be walking. Woo!
Is it fun or is it sad?
It's fun and sad. I mean, honestly, it's just more taxing than anything. Like my energy is all over the place. Like it's either spiking or it's plummeting.
Right.
I've yet to like midline this entire semester.
Oh no, I've not.
Energy.
Like it's either like I need to find so much motivation or I need to find my chill. There's like no in between.
Yeah.
Like.
And then the other part of it too is like trying to enjoy college. So like coming out of the military, coming here, it's been it's just been a weird transition because I wanna be focused and I want to get the job done, but at the same time, my military time was spent like doing the army stuff and still kind of having like a good time and partying. Like people in the military still have barracks parties and things of that nature, but coming to college, the lifestyle is different. It's still parties, and things like that, but trying to find that even keel, because I've seen people who just spike because they just take it too far with the partying. So.
And like I'm sure for you the military taught you some sort of like discipline, which is good.
Yeah.
It probably taught you like a little bit party, a little bit discipline.
Just a little bit.
But like I know people who after high school, like their parents were super strict.
Yeah.
They came into the college environment and like either they don't go to the same school anymore, they're not on the sports team or whatever they came in to be with. They started getting failing grades. So it's definitely like you have to have a lot of internal like you have to have your bearings about you in college because you're overstimulated literally all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on top of that, it's trying to go from one lifestyle to another, and that's whether you're coming from high school to college or high school to military to college, like whatever it is, like there's this transition period that some of us aren't allotted,
Right.
and some of us kind of miss out on. But I mean, you either learn to cope or you hit rock bottom. I've met a couple people that hit rock bottom. I went to high school with, and I was like, damn dog, like I hate to see it, but you got to dig deep and find your own motivation. So
Yeah.
but it's good to know you got that senior motivation about
Kind
to be
of,
done.
yeah. Well, it's mostly like senior sorrow or senior
Senior
sadness.
sorrow.
I don't know what we call it.
Is that a Lana Del Rey song, Senior Sadness?
Senior time sadness.
I got that senior time sadness. Yeah, that's a banger right there.
I do have that. That song is the theme song to my life right now. But we did start doing this thing called Senior Sins,
Uh-oh.
where, just on the weekends you gotta go have a good time, because
Yeah.
it's really like, when else in our lives are we gonna be in like this like kind of like resort almost, where we all just live together and we're surrounded by all of this stimulus and all this alcohol and all this crazy stuff.
Mhm.
But like the trick is that you have to study. Like that's so hard.
There's like things you have to do and pass and get out of and get rid of before you can enjoy yourself. So the weekends have definitely become my safe haven this semester.
Yeah.
For sure.
And like I don't want to miss a beat. Like if there's something happening, I will go, because I am afraid. Like I have horrible FOMO.
Big
horrible.
FOMO. Yeah, that almost sounds like a hate speech word, FOMO. But
FOMO.
yeah. But it's good. It's good to enjoy it while it's here, because I mean we are, as they say, YOLO. So, but honestly, it's like yo-yo. You're only young once.
Yo-yo.
Yo-yo.
That's beautiful.
Yo-yo.
You're not
But anyways,
yo-yo.
With all this semester going on, with this being your senior and final year, how is it being Madam President? What is it like being a student leader here at Radford? That's right, and I'm her security detail, so back off.
Yeah, he is actually. I have done SGA for 4 years. So if you had asked me when I was a freshman if I was going to be president, I would have been like, no. Because I was still like kind of timid, kind of scared. And in a weird way, something that really prepared me to be president was Quest, because I don't know if you guys know how much Mark has talked about Quest, but we had to do some weird things, like get on stage dressed in crazy costumes, and we had to do dances at like 10 a.m. when no one else is dancing or excited. So it just gave me a lot of energy for Radford, and that's just what I like about being Madam Prez, as they say, is like I don't really care about the title, but I do care a lot about the organization, and I was happy that I got a chance to kind of like, throw my hat in there and see how I would do with it. And I think it's going pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. I like the fact that I know the people that are up top of SGA, because it helps me feel like I can be more in the loop about things going on, and I get emails from you all the time, and I do want to partake in a lot more things. I was going to become the Veterans Service Officer, or whatever the title was, but being the president and then being that and trying to
It's just a lot.
It is. It becomes a lot, especially like this semester I'm doing 6 classes, 18 hours, trying to like make up for 2 classes I didn't do well in over the last year. And so with all that in mind, I'm like, all right, now I got to juggle being the president of my club and being engaged off campus and on campus, and eventually I would like to see somebody from our organization come over and take that. I guess it's kind of like a congressional position where it's like the
it's
committee
like a Senate
level.
seat.
Yeah, Senate seat. So if I can find somebody to put in there, because we've had a spike in recruitment, which is great, which means we have bodies to put into that position. But it's just tough. Finding something like what we had, because we were in Quest, like that motivation, that push, that drive to do more than just what you have to do. And we have a lot of it in my SVO here at Radford, but you're still asking people to do a lot. So I think one day we'll have a Senate seat filled for that position. And I hated that I couldn't do it, but in the future it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
And honestly, SGA is a lot. Like, there's a lot of meetings and things that you have to attend. So, I know I roped a few Quest people into doing SGA.
I saw.
And then after they started, they were like, you didn't mention that we had to do so much. And I was like, oops, I wanted you to join.
Jeez. What was the, you guys just recently went on a trip to Richmond?
Yeah, so that is Advocacy Day. That is something that isn't all SGA people, but SGA does fund it. So there's a lot of SGA people. And basically you go to the senators and delegates in Richmond and you say, we love Radford so much and we would love financial aid and stuff to keep us at Radford. And then you just highlight why you like Radford so much. So it's honestly a breeze for me because like I do love Radford so much that I'm like, and here's an example and here's an example.
Do you feel like that's beneficial? Do you feel like that actually helps with getting that support from people up in the Capitol?
I think so, because there has been like successes with our new creativity, innovation, and adaptation building. The new one that's going to take over where Radford's, Porterfield, and McGuffey are. It's going to be like this huge conglomerate building for the design and science and nursing majors. And last year that was one of our big initiatives. And we did secure quite a bit of funding for that. And there's something in the governor's budget right now that would support our financial aid. And then 2 years ago, we asked for the merger with Jefferson College, or maybe it was last year that we asked for the merger with Jefferson College, and then that ended up happening too.
So we actually brought that up. Like, that was something Radford wanted, was to bring them in. That's actually really cool. I didn't know that. I thought it was just something that kind of came to me, but okay, that's cool.
I think it was one of President Hemphill's like goals, and he sure did achieve it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the cool thing about that is, it benefited the SVA at least. There's about 20 plus military affiliated students that are going to the RUC, and so to have that smaller, I don't even want to say smaller, because really I don't know if we have that many active members in our organization here at Radford. Right. So, we can almost double our numbers just by looking at the RUC. So it's beneficial, I think, for both parties, especially with Jefferson College. I'm from Roanoke, so I knew of it, but I never really knew much about it or what it functioned as.
Yeah.
But then to come to Radford and see that it got absorbed and became part of Radford, I think that's actually going to help that movement a lot, especially with the amount of medical, because it's mainly nursing, I think, that's over at the RUC.
Yeah. There's
some other things as well, but I think that's going to be really beneficial, especially because I know there's students that have to drive back and forth from here to RUC and so on and so forth. But that's a big money move.
Big money
move.
Well, and there's a ton of non-traditional students there, who I guess would probably align well with like a lot of the people that you guys have in your organization. So
yeah. The other thing about being a leader in your position that I wanted to talk about today was, what's it like being a woman in a leadership position around this time? Because, and I'm not saying this is like anything insensitive or anything, but I know that times are a little shaky,
a little wonky.
Yeah. People like to argue about which party they belong to.
Right.
And do you face any adversities, or have you been coasting along kind of, or how do you feel about how people are reacting to having Madam Prez instead of Mr. Prez?
Well, I'm actually extremely lucky. The whole time I have been at SGA, there's been a female president.
Okay.
So when I was a freshman, it was Jacinda Jones, who was lovely and awesome, and kind of scared me when I was a freshman, but I still loved her. And then it was one of my best friends, Juliana Stanley, who did it for 2 years. And then the door kind of just opened for me.
Nice.
So it's not like I felt intimidated to do it, because like the two before me absolutely killed it, and I was like, oh, this will be fine. I wouldn't say that I faced a lot of adversity within SGA, because they are all absolutely lovely. Like, we did have one member that quit because he told me that I was as approachable as a drill sergeant, and I was like, what? You were in the military.
I need to meet that person. If you're a drill sergeant, then I've been in the wrong branch this entire time.
I say, girl, what did I do? But yeah, I'm like, I thought it was pretty friendly. I'm I'm not a drill sergeant.
No.
Look at this. It says Gryffindor.
Yeah, Gryffindor had a really hard boot camp. When I tell you I got there, they were smoking me. They told my ass to do push-ups.
McGonagall.
Do you want to learn magic, you piece of shit?
Yeah, but honestly, like, I do notice sometimes just like in group settings, there is the tendency for me to get talked over, even though, like, especially on a lot of like SGA topics outside of SGA, like I kind of know that I'm like the authority on some of them because I'm the president, and also I've been in it for 4 years, so I have a lot of like working knowledge, and it can sometimes be a little bit frustrating when guys try to do that thing where they don't let you talk. But other than that, like, nothing too serious at all. No.
I got you. So when you say guys do that thing where they don't let you talk, do you mean the definition of mansplaining? Or do you mean like interrupting you so that they can say what is correct because they think it's correct, or because they think they can say it better than you?
That's like, it's kind of like all of the above. Okay. Like, there's definitely been times when like people are explaining to me things about SGA and I'm like, yeah, I know that. But sometimes it's just like, you know, when you say a joke and then someone says it louder and then everyone laughs. Like, that's how I kind of feel sometimes.
Okay.
But...
Okay. All right, I get that. That's fair.
And I'm like, well, I said that first.
Is it your VP, Mr. Chase Arrington?
No, me and Chase.
You guys are a match made in heaven when it comes to leadership
really
team. Like, you guys, I don't know what it is, but it's like yin and yang type stuff. It's perfect.
I know, and like me and Chase have frequent disagreements, but it's like we love each other so much that like I don't even care.
I mean,
like,
it's adult. It's about being an adult, you know, because you can disagree with somebody. Like me personally, I don't think mansplaining is a thing as much as it's the way you're brought up.
Yeah,
totally. I mean, I may have mansplained in my life. I'm not going to say I never have, but I don't feel like it's something that I was ingrained with. I don't feel like it was something where it was like, oh yeah, I can always get the right answer. Women just don't know the right answer. It's not that. It's just like maybe I just spoke and was just looking like an asshole. It's never something that I mean to do. And so maybe it was one of those things in psychology that I know about. Maybe I've been conditioned to not see it. Maybe it's like, you know, maybe I'm ignorant to the facts, but I don't mean to do it, and if I ever do actually mansplain to somebody, I would want them to be like, hey, can you like shut the fuck up and not try to tell me what I was saying. But I think what you guys have is this dynamic because Chase is really lighthearted, really cares about everything. You care about everything, but you can also apparently be a drill sergeant sometimes. So
apparently, girl.
With that kind of magic, you guys are doing a great job, and I'm actually really excited to see what else Radford is gonna cough up before you guys are out the door, because he's a junior, right?
Yeah.
So he'll be taking over.
Yeah, I think him and my chief of staff, Chris, are going to run against each other, so I'll see how that goes. And it's like, it's kind of worse because I love them both so much. Like, I wish them all the happiness in the world, so.
So then the real question is, who are you going to endorse?
Oh, God, I can't give my endorsement. I'm going to be like, I'm abstaining because I love them both, and I think they would do really excellent jobs. And I would hope that whoever doesn't end up being president can still be in the organization in some way, because I know they both care about it so much. Like, it would kind of hurt my feelings if one of them ended up not staying.
Right.
But yeah.
So let's go to some recent topics. I know that you were watching the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yes.
And now, what is your opinion on the performance of J-Lo and Shakira?
Well, let me just start by saying this. I love them both extremely. Like, I love J-Lo, but especially Shakira. Like, I have stanned her since I was like a literal child, and I knew every song that she performed in the Super Bowl. I don't think I realized that people had a problem with it until I went online. Because I remember watching it and being like, this is awesome. They look so hot. They're so talented. Love it. And we were all in my apartment, like me and a bunch of my friends were like screaming and like, woo, yay, we love you. And then I got on Facebook, and it's like all these crotchety people are like, I hate that, and like my kids are scarred for life, and I'm like, your kids are fine. Your kids are fine.
You're who?
I'm like, it's Shakira and J-Lo.
Yeah.
Like, they're
These
not
people
scary.
Are, like, it's hilarious. The how can I word this? The boombasticness.
Boombacity.
The boombacity of the boomers that are on Facebook and all these. I haven't even checked Instagram. I got off Instagram a while ago, but just the amount of people that were just butthurt over the outfits. I get, some of the dance moves or the stripper pole may have gotten people triggered, but at the end of the day, like, and I talked about this, I'm about to bring up human sexuality class, here we go, but in human sexuality, we've talked about how everything's repressed, like all this sexual stuff's repressed, and all we do is keep pushing it back, and we don't want to talk to our kids about it. We call our penis the wiener.
Or like whatever, yeah.
And boobies and all this other stuff, instead of like being like, all right, so check it out, kid. This is what this is, and this is how this works, and da-da-da-da. But instead, what we've done is we've just overly censored everything.
Right.
So, like, apparently these women can't wear these outfits because they're on a Super Bowl stage, and it's unacceptable. My kids can't see that, and it's...
Well, people are like, what if someone was doing that in public? And it's like...
They just were.
I'm like, well, that was public, number one. Also, that's a performance.
Yeah.
It's not like they were groping each other in the Walmart parking lot. Like, those are two very different instances.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely all about, like, women's sexuality, doing whatever you want, showing whatever curves you want. I'm here for it. So I think a lot of people just get, I don't know, like, I think there's something about, like, women and being scantily clad that bothers people more than when males do it, and I think it's because women are just so heavily sexualized that it's like you can't even separate the two at this point. So, like, last year, Adam Levine, or however you say his name, I'm so sorry.
He'll probably never see this, but if he does...
I'm so sorry. I saw you on The Voice. I love your
I'll
work.
give you her contact info, and you can complain to her directly. Mr. Levine.
Mr. Levine. But, yeah, I mean, like, he was very much... Shirtless last year, and his pants were, like, barely hanging on. And I like, all these white moms on Facebook are like, oh my god, he's my dream man, I love him.
Stan.
Literally Stan. And then Shakira does it, and they're like, oh, my son is horny because of that. And I'm like, you need to tell your son that literally women don't dress for him, they dress for themselves. Yeah. And if he's gonna be acting a fool, like, you gotta shut that shit down.
Absolutely. And I think another part of it too is just I think a lot of it even has to do with the religious fervor. And I don't want to get into religion because it's a touchy subject and it gets people worked up, but I think that when you start pushing all your beliefs on everybody else, it just gets so almost cringe inducing at this point, because it's like, listen, I'm trying to live my life. I'm only here for so long. If I want to watch Shakira while she does her performance at the halftime show, let me do that. Don't get on my feed talking about, oh, this is what the Lord wanted. It's like, that's not up to me. Like,
you said, I am not the Lord.
I'm not the Lord. The Lord can talk to Shakira directly when it's her time, and it'll probably I'm about to make a bad joke. It'll probably be J-Lo's time before hers. But that's for them to decide, not me. So I'm just here to watch this show.
Like, it frustrates me a lot. Like, I'm trying not to talk about religion too much because I totally get it. Yeah. I love all the religions. You go off, you do you. You believe what you want.
You stand who you want to stand.
Yes, whatever God you stand, that is your choice. But what's frustrating for me is that it's always brought into these political, secular arguments that have nothing to do with it, and there's nothing you can say against it, really, because they're like, well, that's just what I believe and it's right. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you supposed to say? Like, stop believing that? Because like, it's almost like they always say, like, just like the faith card, because when you're up against logic, faith is kind of what you have to say, and you can't beat that.
Yeah.
So it is very frustrating.
Yeah, and it's one of those, there's like the 3 topics you don't have a discussion about with people. It's religion, politics, and finances.
Oh, yes.
Those are like the three hot button issues that you're generally not supposed to have a conversation about, which I understand, because these days, like, you bring up any of those and it turns into a whole landslide of discussion. And a lot of them coincide, which is annoying too, but at the end of the day, I think people just need to understand that, like, the life that you live isn't always going to be directly correlated to mine, to yours, to your neighbors. A lot of the times we got to start separating, like, what we believe from what the world around us just is.
Yeah.
It's not always about belief. Like, sometimes some people just want to live. Just let them do their thing. I'm non-religious personally, but what I do is I live the way I would expect others to live, which is, peacefully, open discussion, like, violence as a last resort kind of thing. I mean, when they were talking about, I don't know if I'm sure you follow Virginia politics, but the recent Second Amendment stuff that was going on.
Oof.
Yeah, so all these dudes talking about boogaloo this and boogaloo that, and I was one of them too. I was like, you know what, like, this is something that I will defend and I do care about, but at the same time I was like, I don't really want to do anything that's going to hurt anybody unless it's absolutely necessary, because that's the way it is. But I mean, you look at religions and it's like people are getting stoned to death or thrown off of buildings or like doxxed.
And there's crazy things that I feel like sometimes are like ignored about, like, I'm not any specific religious text in like specific, but they a lot of them have like some strange things in them.
Yeah.
And I don't like it when people come at me with stuff like that. Like stuff from whatever they may be reading and then ignore other certain parts.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a little bit arbitrary at that point. So it's like, are we all in? Are we all out? What are we doing? Because I don't even know where to go at this point.
What's the one that gets brought up all the time for the homosexual agenda?
Oh, God,
what is that?
have mercy.
Is that the Galatians? I don't speak Bible like sections,
Galatians.
But there's like one that's like, we can't stand gay people. No, that's not how it goes. But
We can't stand.
we can't stand.
We cannot stand. That is funny.
Don't crop that out and turn it to a meme. I'll be upset.
No, I do stand gay people.
I've never taken anything to heart when it comes to like the people that attack gay people, because they're the most resilient party I think I've ever seen. Like,
Easily.
Like, gay people will take all this criticism and all this aggression and they'll just be like, and just turn around and just really tell you to fuck off, because like at the end of the day they're living their life and they're happy, and that's all I want for everybody. Like, it's just annoying. I don't know. It's anti-gay Bible section. I don't know.
I have definitely
It'll
looked
pop
this up
out.
before because I'm like,
Which one is it?
just curious what people are
Leviticus.
like citing all the time.
It's Leviticus 18. That's which one it is.
Leviticus.
And it says, deals with a number of sexual activities considered abominable, like the
Incest
snowman?
and bestiality?
Those
I would have to make an argument that those are not similar to homosexuality at all. One of them is animals. That's sick.
Yeah.
And one of them causes like horrible birth defects and is like highly illegal. Both of them are highly illegal, and there's a reason that being gay is like not illegal, and those two things are very much punishable by the law.
Well, let's slow down, because all right, so you said, all right, so what states is incest legal?
Please say
Because
none.
I
Please
know
say
I've
none.
seen this. I know I've seen this.
Rhode Island
Are the only 3 states in the United States where incest is legal, with Ohio's exception of only criminalizing, and then it goes on. Study.com. What website is this? Pop up.
All right, I have a few things to ask. Maybe my friends from New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Ohio. Number one, what is keeping this on the books? Like, why not a quick quick amendment
Yeah, well,
to switch that around.
if you look at some of the laws that are just out there still, I mean, there's some crazy ones. I've recently searched. Oh, and let me read further into this. Incest refers to sexual relations between people who are, blood relatives. Incest is either taboo or illegal in most places around the world. The punishment for incest varies from one place to another, which is pretty much any law as is. But the answer and explanation: Rhode Island, Ohio, and New Jersey are the only 3 states in the United States where incest is legal. And I can't read the rest, and I'm not going to get a subscription to study.com, so you're just going to have to miss out on that intel. But let's look up weird Virginia laws, because there's one.
There is so many weird Virginia laws.
Did you know that you can't walk down the street with an ice cream cone in your back pocket? I think it is for Virginia.
I've never seen someone try.
Yeah,
I don't know what would happen.
Let's go breaking the law. I know you can't have a gun these days around the Capitol, which was, I mean, that gets into the whole Second Amendment argument again, but I mean, it's just some weird stuff. Police radar detectors are illegal. That's pretty standard.
Well, yeah, I mean, one time I got a ticket from one in Maryland, and I can say I prefer them not to exist because it kind of sucked.
Children are not to go trick-or-treating on Halloween. That can't be true.
What?
Our community now, Charlottesville, Virginia.
Okay.
And this was made in 2017.
I just feel like a lot of these are, at this point, so few people know about them that, like, they're not enforceable. But I wonder what would happen if, like, a cop tried.
You know?
Like, they just arrest your child on Halloween.
Who's going to stop anyone in Richmond from flipping a coin in a restaurant to see who pays for a coffee?
I'm sure that happens, like, 8,000 times a day in Richmond.
Like, I feel like you just hear ding, and then you'd hear, freeze, get down on the ground!
I mean, in Richmond, they drink so much coffee. I'm sure that happens several times a day.
Waynesboro, it is illegal for a woman. It is illegal for a woman to drive up Main Street unless her husband is walking in front of the car waving a red flag.
Waynesboro? What the hell? That doesn't even make sense. Like, why drive the car if you're going walking pace anyways?
Well, I mean, consider it as like, maybe it's like wide load. You want to be sure everybody's out of the way.
Move! My wife can't drive.
Excuse
She's
me.
a woman.
Stereotypes coming through.
Literally.
Watch out, everybody.
Pardon me. Beep, beep, beep.
If you're drunk and not driving your car in Virginia Beach, but the person who is driving the car is also drunk, you could both receive a DUI. This is important. This one's good. If you're both drunk, don't let that driver be drunk or you're fucked.
That's actually horrifying.
It is illegal for a person to ride on the handlebars of a bicycle, and it is unlawful to drive by the same place within 30 minutes on Atlantic Avenue. No U-turns for you.
Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah.
Where's Kendall? Maybe
We're
he knows
going
about
right
these
down
laws.
to Atlantic Avenue. Prince William County, no person may keep a skunk as a pet. Fair. Absolutely.
Yeah, honestly,
fair.
That's one that I am fine with. Unless they get their little glands removed or whatever.
God, that just sounds...
But skunks are just kind of, like, mean. Like, a skunk attacked my cat once and I was pissed.
My mom worked night shifts at Walmart when I was a kid, and one day she walked out to go to work and got her right as she was going out. She's like, I'm not going to work tonight. She took a little tomato bath and called it a night.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's how you get rid of it, but that doesn't make sense to me.
No, one time I was watching my friend Jossie's dog and it got sprayed by a skunk.
Tight.
It was a terrible experience. Like, we had to wash it for like 5 hours.
Ugh. That's miserable.
No, it smelled really bad. Like, way worse than it does when you just pass it on the street, because it's like, yeah, it's kind of gross. But when it's near you, it is like the most toxic, horrible smell.
Yeah.
I can't even describe how bad it smelled. I can still smell it to this day, and it happened like several years ago.
Let's see. I'm going to look to see if a skunk is related to the badger. The main difference between badger and skunk is that the badger is an informal group of mammals. I don't know what that means.
I would say that they're like functionally the same animal, just one has the stinky part.
One's just a bad motherfucker. Bow, bow.
Yeah, one's on Mark's arm.
You know how many times this gets confused for either a skunk, a raccoon, or any other marsupial that people can think of. I don't know.
It doesn't look like a skunk. I think it looks like
He
more
looks
like a badger.
aggressive as shit, and that's all I care about.
I like him.
Is a skunk a rodent? Biologically speaking, every living thing is classified by kingdom, phylum, class, blah, 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 blah.
I thought you were going to say every living thing is a rodent. I was like, where are you
I thought
finding
that's where that was going. Property casualty 360? Yeah, no, we're not going off that. That's
propertycasualty360.com.
Yeah, I made that website myself, so put some respect on it, my guy.
Put some respect on it.
Put some spec on it.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I got the stickers on here.
Right, I do.
And now I need you to slap a sticker on here. This doesn't mean that the podcast is over per se, but go ahead and show everybody, get up real close to that camera for me.
Okay,
so show everybody which one you chose.
This is what I have selected. So I can't say I know a lot about Star Wars, but I do know who Mickey Mouse is, and Mark's stickers were all like obscure things besides Star Wars. I like try to stand, but as you can see, I'm kind of busy standing something else.
Standing the man Harry Pothead himself.
I love him. So where do I put him?
Wherever you would like, on the side, on the top. I can even move the laptop
on here. This one?
You can put it on the computer too if you want, but
oh no, I'll put it
say right there in the box anywhere you can find.
Aw, okay.
You can cover some stuff up too.
I'm right here. He looks
but
so
boom, perfect, perfection.
We just got a Mission barbecue where I live.
Yeah,
it's really good.
How do you like it? Like,
it's
how do you like
delicious.
it as far as it goes with like the kind of food? Have you had much barbecue in your life or?
I don't know. Probably like a medium amount of barbecue. I don't know how much.
Like
how
if you were to fill up a
usually
truck,
eat?
if you were to fill up a truck with the amount of barbecue you've eaten, what
Like
size truck is this?
I don't, in my whole life, that's a hard concept.
That's a lot of barbecue.
I would say like a moving truck.
Oh, well, that's
just one.
Yeah.
Though. And not like an 18-wheeler.
Not
just
even
like
a full one.
Like the small one that you put on the back of a car hitch.
The U-Haul, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like a little U-Haul.
A little U-Haul amount of barbecue. That's fair.
A
They
U-Haul
actually,
amount.
these guys are really cool because they actually, they help out the military community a lot. They catered my last event I did last year for Suicide Awareness Ruck March. Boom, April 11th. Be there. I'll send flyers out to everybody. I'm doing the other 2020 Ruck March, so I'm gonna stop doing all this weird, spastic, super, I can't use that word, I'm in psychology now. I always want to use the word autistic as a joke, but it's so bad, I know.
It's so bad.
It's so bad, but I also don't care. So I'm working on it though, because I know that it does hurt some people, but I don't know, I feel like there's worse words to use, but maybe me using it normalizes it and it makes it worse than it actually is. So maybe I shouldn't do that.
I feel like there's just like this list of words that no one should ever say.
Why were they created then? Why were these words made?
I don't know. I feel like there's just like these super horrible words.
Yeah.
That were all like used at some point in history to be like extremely derogatory.
Mm.
And the only people who can say them is the communities who take them back. I think that's my point.
So then what if I've been called autistic before and I actually thought I might be autistic because they told me that?
That would be really sad, but no, you still wouldn't be at that point.
Okay, well, fair enough. And it's not, I don't have anything against people with certain, aspects of their life that are different than mine or what have you, but I just feel like some words, I just don't see the violence in words. I see violence in action.
Mm.
So when it comes to speaking, I encourage people to say what they want, but it's when you direct something at somebody where you're like, you're a this word, or you can eat my this word, or something like that. When you straight up put it on somebody and
right.
you target somebody with it, I think that's when it becomes hate speech. But that argument's kind of invalid when people don't like you normalizing certain words, and I understand that. I absolutely do. But it's just, it's so hard to think that we're in a time in humanity where words have so much power.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a strange issue because there are things that you shouldn't say and you should never say them. And some things are so bad that it's very, very hard to forgive people.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that a lot of aspects of today's cancel culture
Mm-hmm.
is too much. Because someone could make an innocent mistake, like that they genuinely maybe were just ignorant about, and say something or do something, and then like lose their job. Like everyone hates them, and then they get shit on online for every day for the rest of their lives. I don't think that a lot of things are worth that, because the internet is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine being one of those people. Like, I even feel kind of bad for like celebrities, because they do things like me and you are doing right now
under a microscope,
and like maybe nobody will really care about what we're saying, but when you're a celebrity, everybody has their eyes and ears on you, and you could just misspeak and everyone's like, cancel you.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there are celebrities who do really bad things, abusive things, say things that are way over the line.
Yeah.
But
for example, I did not like the way that the world, well, not the world, but the United States or social media, Twitter community, whatever handle you want to go by, I don't like how everybody reacted to James Gunn. Do you remember his tweets? So James Gunn, the guy who made Guardians of the Galaxy and was like part of all these other productions that he's put together, made tweets back in like 2011 saying, basically making funny pedophile jokes. But
funny pedophile jokes.
I'll be honest, they were savage, but at the same time they were pretty funny. I gotta look them up before I say anything further. But he literally did get cancel cultured, because what happened was people found out, and then they were like, all right, well, we can't have you making Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and you gotta go, and you can't make this movie, and it was a mess, because like what he had said, really, it was funny, like, and it's not that he was laughing at the fact that kids get molested, it was that he made a joke as if he was a stand-up comedian kind of thing. James Gunn tweets. Let's see what he said.
Yeah, I haven't.
We'll go to images here.
I feel like I need to get more plugged into like Marvel stuff, because there's so much tea happening that I'm like barely aware of.
Oh man! All right, so this might not be. This isn't kid friendly, but
oh my god! You should not read it.
The Expendables was so manly. I effed the shit out of the little boy next to me. The boys are back in town, and that was 2010. So he clearly said this on Twitter.
Okay, so James Gunn. What I'm gonna say.
What the fuck?
Like, I understand that some things are jokes, and maybe he needed to be called on this to learn what he's doing wrong.
But then again, look how far back this is. This is like 10 years. I think it was.
But how old is James Gunn?
8 years. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if he's a certain
like
age.
He was probably like 21 or 22 when he's like saying this stuff, which is like, that's how old I am, and I wouldn't. But that's also because like I just know when I'm like being aggressive. I know I have a very good awareness of like microaggressions and how people are going to take them.
Okay.
And I feel like this guy has a bad grasp on that concept.
Yeah, he might fall under that spectrum we were talking about, not talking about earlier.
Stop.
Terrible. Okay. New poll, 9/11 jokes, always in poor taste, or sometimes funny. Additional question, more or less offensive than Holocaust jokes? Like, there are savages out there. There are savages out there. But I don't think we should take everything we read on the internet so seriously.
And like, that's a terrible joke, and you should not.
That was a poll though, so how do you vote? No, I'm just joking. That's terrible.
Oh my god, I could never.
Oh god.
I think it's just like there's this level of awareness also that we have to adopt at this point. So like, if you see other people getting canceled, you might think, like, what did they do that got them canceled? And I think looking at these tweets is a really good example of what not to do.
Right.
If you want to remain, your subscription intact, not canceled.
So is there a date, is there an expiration date for you to get canceled, or can you get canceled for something you did 8, 10, 20 years ago? And
that is something that I always think about. Like, I think for me, like, repeated transgressions would be an easier way to measure that. Like, if you're someone who, like, I don't know, made an off-color joke, like, 10 years ago, but it was, like, just one, people call you on it, and then you're like, yeah, yikes, that wasn't that great.
Yeah, yikes.
But, like, there's a lot of celebrities where they go back and they dig up, like, tweet after tweet, and they always have a theme. It's, like, either they're really homophobic or really racist towards this one group of people or really sexist, and it's like, well, obviously at that point, like, they were just completely insensitive because they just kept saying very similar, you know, derogatory jokes. So I don't know if there's a time or like a number or what. And that you can't measure how it makes people feel, because some people are never going to care and some people are always going to care way too much. So it's like,
and I think the other part too is it's hard to, like, when you read these things, yeah, you can read the words and understand the words, but you can't understand all the context. Because even here, like, he retweeted somebody and said this, and then if you look this guy up, he believes in this whole lifestyle where if somebody who is below the legal age is consenting, then that should be okay. Or somebody can act below their age and give consent for sexual activities. And that is more disgusting than James Gunn retweeting this dude and laughing at him. And I mean, I get it. It's still triggersome and whatnot, but I think when people come out and they kind of put these people in a spotlight, whether they're doing it this way, which kind of sacrificed James Gunn and his career for a moment. Like, he came back.
Like, I think he's fine now.
Oh yeah, Disney. Like, a bunch of the people on the cast were like, "Yo, no, fuck this. Like, he wasn't doing this seriously. This was like, we know James. We've worked with him, and he's a
funny guy.
He's good people." But I mean, yeah, sure. Back in 2009, he probably shouldn't have said, "I like it when little boys touch me in my silly place." Shh, that wasn't really funny. But I mean, clearly, I'm not in context because this was 11 years ago now.
And I know, like, some people even in their bio will put, like, retweet does not equal endorsement.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think some people think, like, what if you're trying to bring awareness to something that you're, like, staunchly opposed to, so you, like, retweet it. People are going to assume that that's, like, your original thought about it and you, like, are in support of it. So it is it's hard, and there's no context on the internet either. There's no tone of voice. There's nothing. So I have seen people say things so much worse in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just recently, someone said something so bad, like, that I was, like, in the same room as.
You have to tell me off microphone.
I know, it was so, I cannot say it.
Okay,
it was
fine,
so bad.
Fine.
And, like,
but I
it literally
have
caused an entire fight, and, like, we had to, like, leave. But it wasn't because of what they said, it was because of how they were acting. But, like, they're not canceled now, and people are still friends with them. Like, me personally, well, not really, because it was a bad situation. But, like, on the internet, I feel like you can transgress so much less and receive so much more hate. And then in person, like, someone will say the, like, worst thing you've ever heard, and, like, nobody will call them on it.
Right.
So
it's
that's
weird.
really hard to measure.
Yeah, it's a two-sided coin, because everybody says anonymity on the internet gives people this idea that they can do whatever they want and not get in trouble. But on the flip side of that coin, the people who would do that are the ones that are out in public not saying anything to confront something that they don't believe in. They're the ones that stay quiet during all these incidences where somebody's being recorded losing their mind or going off on something or having a tangent. Nobody's interacting with that person and being like, hey, calm down, everything's good, everything's fine.
Well, it's like this bystander intervention thing. Well, people are so quick to whip out their phones and be like, oh, I can't wait to tweet this because like maybe a celebrity was involved, maybe a social media influencer was involved or whoever.
I hate that word, influencer. It's not.
I also think it's a terrible word. Just because I hate to say it, social media influencers, but like, I am not that interested in someone else's life where I could sit using my actual life to look at a screen and watch them vlog their trip to like Goodwill. I'm like, I can go to Goodwill. I don't need to watch, Loopy Leah 578 or whoever. Lele Pons.
Lele Pons, the Vine star who didn't know when to quit.
Yeah, it's just like I think we're in a weird period of time too where like now, like, okay, I'm sorry, my guilty pleasure is kind of watching The Bachelor. And I'm all about women's rights, and I hate the concept, I really, truly do. But it is fun TV. So sometimes, I watch it because the people in our office, NSFP, also have a bracket, so it's like this whole thing, and I can't stop.
Wait, a bracket is in like a
who will get
NBA
eliminated.
fantasy bracket?
Yes.
That's what's the money looking like in there?
It's like, I don't know, I forgot. It's like $30 or something.
Hey,
but,
that's a good pot. I'm gonna have to jump in there and start watching.
I know, maybe you should. But like I've noticed how from when I used to watch it with my mom when I was like a kid, the people on there now know like the permanence of being on TV and being on the internet. So all of them are starting these careers as influencers, etc. afterwards, where like the people on the first 2 seasons couldn't tell you who they are, don't know where they went, probably got married to someone else from the show and like had a kid.
Yeah.
But these people are like just clout chasers. Like, I hate to use that phrase, but
it's an accurate one though.
You know, once you get your foot in the internet door and you get a following, like, don't get me wrong, I really like Brittany Broski, Kombucha Girl.
Oh, I've heard of her, yeah.
But like like she made one meme and is literally now famous and lives in Los Angeles. Lucky for us, she's actually funny. And talented, but other people aren't, and they only want, like, she was making a TikTok to be funny and it just can't, like, it just happened to be popular. But like some people, like especially on TikTok, I see these little clout chasing high schoolers and I'm like, ew.
Yeah. So my guilty pleasure is actually watching internet commentators or like YouTube commentators who will literally dissect these, like you were saying, clout chasing. I guess you could call them content creators, but majority of them are just like selling products or just selling things. And like their entire video will just be them, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, buy this, I endorse this. And then like you just watch this and you're like, wow, this is the entertainment that kids are watching. Like,
and it's like there's a formula. Like this
absolutely.
is how they all start. They're like, hi guys, welcome back to my channel.
Just like that.
Like just like that. Yeah. And I'm like, did you take a class that I missed? I miss the old days when YouTube was stupid and there were songs about, you know, shoes and Britney Spears and literally that's all we had to worry about. And now it's like just these annoying vloggers who have like kind of like no social relevance. Like, I'm so sorry, but they're not doing a lot for society. They're
not, but they are doing the exact thing the capitalist government was kind of created to do. They're here to make the money, and I'm not knocking them for that, but what I'm knocking them for is taking this position in society where they don't have any relevance. There's no point for their existence other than entertainment. But then you've got other ones that are out there that are actually doing something productive. Or so for instance, I follow Danny Gonzalez, Drew Gooden. iDubbbz is really controversial, but the way that he broadcasts a lot of stuff is like he exposes all these people that are literally scamming people for money or scamming people for follows, subscribes, likes, shares, all this good stuff. He puts people in this spotlight, but for the reasons that they need to be in it, not for, well, this person's making great content. No, this person's kind of a scumbag, and you should know what they're doing because they're kind of pulling the wool over your eyes. And so I think it's like that weird justification for me to watch that and be like, yeah, he got them. He really showed them. Meanwhile, I'm not doing anything productive. I'm making a couple podcasts here and there, and I'm not like big on YouTube, but
this is very much more like, this is interesting because you're bringing people in who have in some way, shape, or form like defined your college experience. Which that's talking to real people. Like a lot of the like influencers, content creators, all those other like empty titles that like didn't exist until this year. Like they started out in a position that was very unlike ours. Like we went to high school, you went into the military and then went to college. I went to college, both from like regular families who had a normal existence. So it's different than when all of these like little TikTok, weenie, prepubescent people,
TikTok,
whatever.
All these other social media.
Like they all grew up in Calabasas and their parents are wealthy.
And I'm like,
like, it has really not a lot to do with the content of their character, but more to do with the content of their bank.
Yeah.
And that puts the rest of us at a perpetual disadvantage to have just, like, a really easy life.
Yeah. It's and it's tough because you go on YouTube and you see the possibilities of, like, being able to do something like this where I can have engagement, involvement with other people, and really just look at things outside of my own life. Like, and I'll be honest, standard white guy here, Joe Rogan influenced me to, like, do a lot of this because listening to this dude talk to just people I've never heard of before, and even when he talks to people I have heard of, like, getting in depth and, like, picking the brain and talking about things that he talks about, he's honestly got really good content, and it's so much more sustainable than what's going on with somebody like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Rice Gum or Tana Mongeau.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Tana.
Have you heard it? So you know about Tana Khan, where she tried to hold her own, like, conference or whatever? Convention, yeah. So she tried to do that, and then that's one of the things that this guy iDubbbz was talking about, and he exposed, like, financial records and, like, video recordings of her basically saying, like, oh, I don't care, the more people that can't come in, it just means that my event's just so big and it's so popular that, oh, we can't hold everybody. And it's like, is that really what you want your fans to know about you?
Yeah.
You want your fans to know that you're kind of a giant piece of shit for charging them this much for
like,
a ticket.
overcharging them.
Yeah, to an event that they can't even get into because there's no room in here. Like,
and like, is she the one who's married to, like, Jake Paul?
Yes.
And, like, I don't even know if, like, I think the jury's still out on if that wedding was, like, real. But it's frustrating to me that people like Jake and Logan Paul, who are, like, genuinely unfunny and not talented, and they both suck. Like,
they're not good people.
Like, the things that they've done, like the whole Suicide Forest thing. Yeah. I just saw in the headlines he said some other stupid thing, like, 2 days ago. Like, they are the type of, like fraternal, annoying, like, person that I don't want to have that platform. And, like, I don't know, like, if you know Shane Dawson, but he did this whole, like, expose thing. And, like, it's just, like, how all of Jake's friends, like, don't actually like him and stuff. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy that all of these, like, teen girls are, like, fangirling over him, and I'm like, stop! Find yourself a feminist queen. Yeah. Stan Emma Watson instead. A wholesome celebrity that we need.
The Lord's celebrity.
Literally. Like, she probably is.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I feel like there need to be more prominent female characters in everyone's life, because I feel like we've separated all these characters by sex, race, and all this other stuff. There needs to just be kind of a neutral idea that, you know, everybody can create great content. When Emma Watson was in This Is the End, did you remember that movie?
It was very funny.
I thought that shit was hilarious. I thought it was so funny when she cracked dude in the nose with a bat and then took off running, and everybody's like, yo, did Emma Watson just steal all our shit?
We just got robbed by Hermione.
Yeah, oh, we got robbed by Hermione, and that's some quality comedy, and the fact that she took it in stride, and, like, there was literally no hard feelings with the whole setup of how the movie was run. I think that was awesome.
And it shows, like, she has had, like, this kind of thing in her career where, like, she did Harry Potter, super successful, obviously, everyone knows who she is now. And then she did a few funny movies, and she was still able to go on and be a UN Goodwill ambassador for He for She, make speeches to the UN, work internationally on, like, these huge women's rights issues, and then transition back into acting, where she has, like, meaningful women's roles. And she took it all in stride, and I think, like, it's an important example of, like, you can be in stupid movies like This Is the End, and be in stupid jokes, and you could still be fundamentally a very good person.
Yes, absolutely.
And I just think people take things too seriously, and she's, like, the most poised, proper, and prim celebrity that there is, and she still did that, and it was hilarious. So
Stan, big Stan.
Emma, if you're watching this, I love you so much.
Everyone send this to Emma Watson.
Tag at Emma Watson on Instagram.
Tag me in it, though. I feel, so one of the issues I have when it comes to the, like, division of the sexes with some stuff is there's been a lot of movies that came out that, how can I word this? So Charlie's Angels came out again. A new
Right,
Charlie's
right.
Angels. Ocean's 8 with the all-female cast. And then I think there was the Ghostbusters movie with the all-female cast. Yeah. I don't have problems with these movies, and I don't have problems with women in them, but I feel like one of the focused, like, driven points of these movies has been, hey, everybody, look, we're super progressive, check out this all-female cast. And so they kind of just shoved that point down the throat instead of actually putting sustenance into the movies.
Right.
So I personally am kind of like, about the Oceans movies. So when I watched Oceans 8, I was even more just because it was like the 11, 12, 13, the original one. It's like the 5th Oceans movie ever made.
Yeah, there's
so
a lot of Oceans.
I was already kind of just by Oceans. Right. And then one came out with an all-female cast, and it felt so forced. And then Ghostbusters came out of nowhere with an all-female cast, and I was like, okay, this might be good. Then it turned out to be one of those movies where all the funny stuff was in the trailer, and then you watch the movie, and you've already seen the movie.
Savage.
And you're just like, oh, okay, cool, great, awesome, thank you, fuck. And then it leaves a bad taste in my mouth that it seems so forced, and then when the movie doesn't do well, everybody blames, oh, men just don't like women in these roles. And it feels aggressive, and it feels forced, and it's uncomfortable, because like I can enjoy stuff that has females in it. It's not that a female's in it, it's that the quality of the production or the quality of what you're giving me is just not up to snuff with what I'm into.
Yeah, and I have had some guys come up to me and be like, I just don't see the point in remaking this, so, and I don't want to see it because I already know I like the first one. And for me, like, I love all female reboots just because, like, when I see a female lead, I'm like, I'm buying a ticket. And that's kind of like, from the female perspective, they know that women love women leads, so they're like, we have at least got these people, and I will go every time. But I can see what you're saying with like this formulaic kind of like, we knew this movie was good, and we know that women like women, so let's combine these two into a reboot.
And then their hopes are like this high for it, like they're like, oh yeah, it's gonna do so great, and then they don't anticipate like the criticism of the idea that just rebooting something and making it all female might not pan out the way you want it to.
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of goes for all reboots. Like,
oh, absolutely. Oh,
it's almost like there's
so
no new
reboots.
movies, kind of.
So many shit reboots out there, regardless. I mean, and there's some female leads I love, like Alien. Alien's one of my favorite horror movies, and the entire time.
Sigourney.
Weave me a basket of love, you sweet angel who kills aliens in space.
And gives birth out of her stomach.
Oh, that was so weird, but I get it, I understand. But like, and then you go to something like Alien Covenant and the other remake that they did, and I didn't enjoy it as much, but it got me into the theater because I was like, you know what, I love Alien.
Yeah, you want to see it.
I still want to see this shit.
And like, I had actually never seen the Oceans movies before Ocean's 8. I only went because I was like, oh, Sandra Bullock and a bunch of other women, I'm going. So like, I feel like to some extent it does have that quality where like people who weren't predisposed to the other movies, but this is a weird thought that I always have, and it always takes me back to this. Like, Emma Watson, Hermione, like our whole childhood, like me and you, but there's this whole new group of children who only know her as Belle from Beauty and the Beast, or Meg March from Little Women, and she killed all 3 roles, 3 of my favorite movies of all time. But it is weird how as time goes on, people who are younger aren't going to have the same appreciation for these actors as you do. So it is definitely, like with the reboot thing, it's weird, because like even for me, never saw an Oceans movie, saw Oceans 8, and that's the only thing that's in my mind.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's hard too for people in Hollywood that I'll never understand, but getting typecasted. Like, you don't want to get stuck in a role just because you were good at one. Like, I'm glad she moved on past the whole magic thing, because
I know
she might have gotten caught up being a witch her entire career, and I doubt that's what she wants. Like,
and like for her, like, well, for a lot of her like other cast members, like I know for Daniel Radcliffe, he like went through a period where he was like an alcoholic after Harry Potter was ended and stuff, because it's really hard to rebrand yourself, and luckily Emma Watson's literally too powerful, so she was able to. But Like, I know that that's why Chris Evans, one of the big reasons he quit being Captain America, because he was like, I'm going to get trapped, and I don't want to be Captain America for the rest of my career, because he's only like in his late 30s, like he has a lot of time to be alive. So,
and you look at the success of Doolittle with Robert Downey Jr. in it, it flopped. It did not do well. But
I didn't want to see it. I'm so sorry.
I mean, I might go see it in my streaming website that I use, but as far as
abcmovies.com.
But as far as it goes, like, I mean, it's not what I'm looking to watch. And I'm glad that he did the movie because I'm sure it's like a hit with kids. I'm sure it's like one of those kids movies where like, oh, it's so cool, he can talk to animals or whatever the premise is. But at the end of the day, Iron Man stepping down from Iron Man and trying to do something else, it's gonna be a little hard. But we're going on an hour and 5 minutes. I have one more thing to ask you, and I'm making this a highlight of my show as well. Did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself?
Girl, I don't know.
You don't know?
Okay, I know that this is something that you're passionate about, and I'm sure you know more than me.
I don't know who knows. But...
It is suspicious to me.
Okay.
And it's irritating that he did not get
tried,
be sorrowful for the rest of his life, and reap what he sowed in the full force of the law for being a general creep and idiot and pedophile. It's very sketchy. I don't know exactly what I think happened, but it does seem, it seems well placed. I would say
absolutely well placed. And then not only that, but just like everything that was along with it just was so heavy. And I don't want to go into the details because I talk about this all the time, but I do it because of that reason. If we stop talking about it, they're going to think that they can just pull the wool over our eyes and do whatever they want. And by they, I mean people who are way higher than us. I'm not trying to get into conspiracies, but you know how I feel about Epstein.
Yeah, like the deep state.
It's just, like, I can't sit back and just be like, eh. Like, there were people literally on my Facebook page when I was posting memes left and right when it just happened, and they were like, why do you care? It's a dead pedophile. I was like, is it though? Is it a dead pedophile, or is it a dead end to a pedophile issue?
And, like, that there's so many more people involved in that. So the problem is that when you just die, all of those people are getting away with being, like, absolutely disgusting and running sex rings of young women, which is horrible, and, human traffic them. So I can't say I'm a big fan that he, died kind of mysteriously. And I think a lot of the times the American public won't say things about this, and it is interesting to me that this is one of the times that I think we kind of caught on. So that later, when the history books reveal, we can all be like, we lived through that and we knew it.
Hey, I was checking that shit day one.
Yeah,
day one.
It seemed sus when it happened.
Put me down as an author for this page.
Well, didn't that happen during Quest or like right after Quest?
Okay, so he got caught and locked up July, I believe, and then, and he had arrest before.
Because I think I was like at my actual home.
Yeah, he had an arrest before, in like 2014, I believe, and he got off scot-free with that one. But then when he came back for this one, it was like things were looking a lot worse. Jeffrey Epstein indicted on sex charge as discovery of nude, I'm sure it says like pictures or something. And this was back, so July 8th. This was right about when we were wrapping things up with Quest.
And then he died. I think he died like right after.
He died very quickly after. He died so short. And the thing was, he had attempted. So I'm gonna get a little deeper here. He had attempted suicide in a regular prison. So he died August 10th. Like not even a little over a month later, he
just died.
Killed himself. But so first he was in regular jail cell. They put him in there with a police officer who got charged with like doing all sorts of shit a police officer shouldn't do, on top of like assault, murder, drugs, and all this other stuff. Big as hell. And apparently dude tried to kill him. So they're like, all right, well, we'll put him in a suicide unit. He can't kill himself in there, right? What the fuck just happened? Apparently he killed himself. cameras stopped working in the entire unit, and you're supposed to have like cameras in each cell so you can see what's going on. The guards just weren't around, just happened to be. And it's so funny too, because I got people who are inside of like the mental health kind of environment, and they were like, these sheets aren't created to hold somebody if they're hanging themselves. These sheets are created to rip when shit happens.
Well, because you would think.
Yeah, because you don't want somebody hanging themselves in their jail cell. So if he's in a confined space like this and he's not supposed to kill himself, and we've got all these precautions, how does everything just go wrong?
Yeah.
And so I think
especially
that's why.
Especially with a really, really high profile
So
inmate,
high
like
profile.
someone that you would not forget about.
No.
Because he was literally in the news cycle day in and day out.
And did you see how many people were like, I can't wait till he suicides himself? Because they knew that it was just, it was going to end up that way. Because everybody who has any relation to something along these lines or something as serious, it's suicide.
And I just know that like all of these men who get caught up in stuff like this, like, you know, these like bands of guys who like, you know, rampantly sexual assault women or like create these horrible situations like Jeffrey Epstein did for all of these other young women, like it makes you feel like this is definitely not isolated.
No, absolutely.
And if you're in a place of so much authority, like you're Jeffrey Epstein, you're Harvey Weinstein, you're these people who have so much money, influence, and power, like what did you have to do to get there, and like where does it stop until someone calls you out on it, and how many other people are you covering up for? So it definitely, like, especially when the Me Too thing started happening, it stressed me out so much. I was like, you're telling me all of these people have been like groped and
such did this
assaulted.
and such had this
I'm
happen
like,
to
oh
him.
my god, like after that I was like, maybe none of us should be famous. Maybe I don't want to go to Hollywood because I don't like that quid pro quo Matt Lauer thing that's happening.
Yeah, not just that either, but just the fact that these people in these positions can think they get away with it. And looking at some of these cases, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, sometimes they do get away with it. And it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Something should be said and done. I want to make an announcement now on my podcast. If I turn up dead by suicide, I didn't do it. I'm making a pledge now not to kill myself. Just so I can prove Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
I'm glad you're making that pledge.
So here's my pledge: no suicide by Mark. Not only that, but I mean, there's my whole. I have a whole anti-suicide kind of campaign thing with veteran suicide being a big issue to me.
Of course.
There were times in my life where I was down, but I'm up. I'm on the up and up. So I'm not going down that road again. That road sailed, or that ship sailed. So, long story short, I don't think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. We got a what's the word to use for you? I don't want to say a conspirator, but like
very very skeptical.
A skeptic. We got a skeptic. I'll take that. If you say Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, I want you to come on my show. I want you to give me your evidence. I don't think he did, but you can be skeptic.
Mark will actually fight you about this because he posts about it like every day. Like all the time. His Snapchat is like, and I have another meme about this.
I gotta remind everybody, because if they forget, what was the point of everything. So I would like to thank you, Madam President, for coming on the podcast.
It's my honor.
I hope to see you again on here. If you have a podcast or a video or anything you'd like me to get involved with, I should have did the TikTok, but maybe you'll do another one soon, because I know TikTok has trends that come up, so
they do.
Maybe the next one.
I actually didn't see that as a trend. I just thought of it, and I thought I was so powerful. Like, I was like, wow, this is going to be the next trend.
Yeah.
It was not. However, I gave it a good old try.
Turned out decent. I'm sure we can figure one out. We got to find, like, a singular object, right, that we can, like, hand over, and then somebody actually has that object in the next TikTok. And then and then they throw it, and then somebody catches it. And
I did a Vine like that when I was in like middle school. I could definitely do that again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just ideas. I'm a kind of a boomer, so making decisions like that.
You were not a boomer. You are a millennial.
I'm a boomerang.
I'm a zoomer.
I go out to the past and I come back.
I'm a boomerang. That's a good one.
So that's a new term. Carry on with it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming to the podcast. Madam Prez, Colleen, you got anything to say before we close out?
What I would like to say is subscribe to Mark because he's really cool and I love him with my whole heart.
try to be pretty cool. I wish you luck with the rest of the semester.
Of course.
And I'm going to make sure that you get a copy of this and we can share it all around.
Like and subscribe down below.
Like and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that like button and make sure you subscribe too over there.
Don't forget to ring the bell if you want notifications. Wait, it would be over here maybe?
It would be somewhere yonder. All right, y'all. Breathe it in.